At the moment, we've got Ben Alcock in here. He's 14.05 man, personal best. 65 at the Reading half. So away they go then. And we're going to get close up and personal with these athletes. We're in the back of a car, similar to if you tuned in for the meal break in 10 as well. So, and straight to the 4 as well. Not just Mark, but also Omar Ahmed. That man is in shape. 28.30 odd at Newport 10K, where there's cash, there's Omar Ahmed. He absolutely loves it. He loves to compete. He's already done, I think I was looking online, he's done about 10 races or so already in 2022. He's won 8 of them. Any local 10K, that man will win. Straight to the front though, Matt Crean, he doesn't want to make things slow. Mark did mention he wants to win here today, nothing more, nothing less. I'm sure he's going to have one eye on 13.45. For that, you'll be rewarded £1,000, but you've got to win the race. Prize money just for the winner. So Crean to the front, he's a 220 man. He absolutely represented England out in Copenhagen just a month ago. We talked about Philly bouncing back off that marathon. He's the same. And I feel like, you know, when I spoke to him after that, I think he felt like he underperformed a little bit. Very, very warm that day in Copenhagen. So Crean, the St. Helens and Sutton AC athlete, good to see him wearing his club colours. Omar Ahmed and Marc Scott, they're side to side. That's Linton Taylor in there as well. Kedar Omar, Johnny Mellor, watch out for him. He's been dominating the domestic scene for quite a while as Johnny Mellor, but recently ran a 62.08 personal best over the half. And they file back in behind as well. Ben Alcock's in there. So we've got quite a small elite field, but it counts. It's the quality over quantity in this one. I believe you needed to have been a sub 15-minute 5K guy to get into this race. So Scott up at the front. If there's going to be a windy section, it's going to be on this part of the course. A slight, very, very gentle headwind along this section. A K, so each lap is just over a K. So we're going to get that split to you in just a moment as we're going to come past the finish, and they're going to have 4 laps to go once they come past. And Omar Ahmed just moving along that chase group. It's very, very strung out. Crean doing a great job up front though. He looks good. He's used to taking on these races. He's second or third at the Liverpool half marathon as well. Like I said, he's representing England, so he's a good domestic athlete himself. There's the lap, so just on that turn, they're 2:20 on the clock there, so it is going to be a pretty swift first K. And but 13:45, they need 2:45s really, so I'm not sure it's going to be quite that quick. Around about 35 or so meters a lap is just over that K. So there they are, all filing out in behind. It's Omar Ahmed, Marc Scott, Kedar Omar, Linton Taylor looking very, very smooth, and Johnny Mellor in there as well. These boys will know this track well. Marc Scott will, he's done it quite a few times. So was Omar Ahmed, and Kedar Omar was obviously present. I can't see Alfie Manthorpe in this one. He was due to race. He was fresh off a 14-minute personal best. Over the track, in fact, was Manthorpe. That was last week at BMC Grand Prix, so he's not in here. But you can see great crowds here. Probably the best I've seen up here at Podium 5K at Barrowford. I think they got wind it was going to be a good one. It's called the Classic, just purely down to the prize money structure. I mean, just like old times, Chris Barnes used to rock up on the start line and he used to say, here, gents, I've made about 250 quid through entries, and if you run sub 14.30, I'll give you 100 quid. If you run sub 14.20, I'll give you 200 quid, and so on, just like that. That was the format he used. He said only the winner's gonna take it home, and hey, if no one runs a quick time but the winner, but for the winner we'll give you 50 quid. That was the sort of structure. But look, the pack just catching up with Crean now, who's at the front, and he's gonna find it tough. It was a pretty swift start for him. You know, he's only a 14.42 man, so he's operating well inside his personal best. I guess you'd expect him to be, you know, a little bit quicker in that, given he's run a 2:20 marathon. If you just joined us as well, Marina Gugi won the women's race, and she ran 15:25, just outside her personal best, so a strong showing for her. And it's actually a rare sight not to see Omar Ahmed at the front pushing things on, because, and if there's one man who likes to get out, it is him. 13:42 personal best. And 13:55 season's best, actually ran that in Cardiff just a few weeks ago. So he's clearly in good nick. I mentioned his 28.30 at the Newport 10K, and you know, that was gun to stay. This is the surge now. You can see a little bit of strain, a little bit more focus on the likes of Marc Scott and Johnny Mellor's face as they single file. And this is what Ahmed does. He stretches things out. He bided his time for a lap. He knows he knows the competition that's here today is stiff. He's going to do very, very well to even kind of stretch things out and make it a race between him and Mark. But Mark, Manchester 10K a few weeks ago, he's building nicely. Here's Marc Scott towards that British record that he wants. He wants to take that off the hands of Emil and Mo Farah. Kedar Omar, a bit of a dark horse, looking very relaxed. I'm just going purely off facial expressions. I think it says a lot. But just for the very fact that perhaps the likes of Linton Taylor and Johnny Mellor are still in the mix over 5K, it's probably not horrendously quick. So Marc now to the front. Omar Ahmed pushed on. Marc wants to stretch things out. He's now based himself back in the UK, of course, left the Bowerman group, joined NN. Dear Marc, at the moment, just kind of self-coached though. No one, speaking to him, no one actually coaching him, setting his stuff. I know he does talk quite a lot with the UK head of endurance, Dan Vernon. He does do a good job of kind of, I guess, bouncing ideas with Marc, off Marc, and, just approaching. And of course, I know he wants to get involved and get amongst that group in Kenya out in, with the likes of Kipchoge and whatnot out there and really experience things, really kind of lock yourself away. That's what they do, these NN guys. They're very, very strict on these camps. And, speaking to him, I know Marc does want to get involved, but he still wants to kind of have that relaxed setup. He has the UK, he can use a lot of people. They're the crowd doing a great job to clap them along here. We got crowd on the infield, inside the barriers, but we got a pack of 5. Omar Ahmed, Scott, Mellor, Taylor and Kedar Omar. I guess the 5 you would expect. Kriyan, the early leader, just suffering in no man's land at the moment. It's 29.15 a few weeks ago for Mellor. So he's in good nick. And like I said, fresh off a half marathon personal best as well. He looks quite relaxed, and I wonder if he's going to have one eye on. I guess this now is the time, if you are doing an autumn marathon, it's the time to kind of, just improve your speed, sharpen things up a little bit. So when you go back to those long tempo runs, they just feel that bit smoother. Come, your kind of autumn hearts, your Great North runs and whatnot. And of course, one thing to look out for this year, we've got the World Road Running Championship. So it's joint with the World Half. Of course, it used to just be the World Half, but they now included a road mile and a road 5K. And for the men, if you run inside 13:45, that'd be a qualification standard, or 13:25 on the track. So quite swift for the men to get inside that, but a doable time. 13:45 on the roads is quite doable. We could have a lot of men inside that, especially when we put on such high caliber events here and racing up at Barrowford. So, the likes of Mellor may have one eye on that. I mean, I think the half time is 62.30. Oh, Omar Ahmed just cuts across. He doesn't like the fact that they were slipstreaming, and just focusing on the dead center of this path. It does kind of, I guess, slope to one side here at Barrowford. Nothing that you really notice, but perhaps at these speeds. So nothing changing here. We're going to have 2 laps to go, so just 2K or so to go. We'll keep an eye on the clock as well. I made it. If they kind of go through 3K in 8:15, they're on for 13:45. Of course, if we're looking at 13:30, that would be 8:06 through 3K. So we've got a great crowd. I keep mentioning it, but we're 8:10. So that's going to be near enough the 3K mark, actually. It's going to be just up here. So they are running about 13:45 speed at the moment, just roughly. I'm only guessing. I've been informed roughly where these split markers are, but nothing's set in stone as the sun sets down over Barrowford. This is the slight uphill section of the course, and this is why the course was changed. They wanted to cut this out, limit this section. So they're only going to do this 4 times as opposed to the traditional 5. But will we see records broken here? A great pack, and this is good to see at the moment. Scott now stretching things out. This is what he does. He actually got second in that Manchester 10K a few weeks ago. Perhaps a bit surprised. It was the Italian who kind of took a bit of an upset there. But, talking to a few, it was a terrific start. It was a very, very fast start. I think they were through 3K in sort of low 8 minutes then. And that was in a 10K race. So, not to be sniffed at. But Marc and Omar Ahmed have been side by side all race. I said before, Kedar Omar just looks very, very smooth. I mean, this man's used to this track, up for that 10-mile event, that break in 10. He actually finished. Of course, the headlines were on a mill that day, running 46 minutes for a British record, but Kedar Omar, 51 minutes he ran, and goodness me, how many laps is that? I think it was about 16 laps for 10 miles of this course, so he's going to be familiar with just about every inch here up at Barrowford. But Marc, fully focused on the win. I'm speaking to him. Omar Ahmed looking to do an upset. Kadar Omar as well in there. Johnny Mellor. Linton Taylor just showing signs of weakness, but he's done very, very well to get through 3K, to get to this point. He's going to have to battle with himself over that last lap, and goodness me, you can really put things into context how big that gap is to the chase back. I can tell you, if you're a Ben Alcock fan, he's leading things out there. We saw him run very, very well at the Battersea 5K meet in February, actually. I think he got third there, sort of 14, 13. That was a big payday for him, big prize money structure at Battersea. Unfortunately, there is only prize money for the win here at Barrowford, and Omar Ahmed will know that in the back of his mind. This guy does a terrific job. Every domestic road race he will appear at, and not more often than not, he will take the win. So here we are, here's the surge. Here we are, Steve Vernon encouraging Marc Scott, of course, encouraging Johnny Mellor as well. Used to have a big say in Johnny Mellor's training there at New Balance Manchester. Johnny Mellor actually does quite a lot of work for New Balance, but the leads change once again. Then Mark, he comes into this final lap. Girlfriend, brother, it's a family affair. They're all on the sidelines cheering him on. They want to see a strong showing from this man, and so do we at home. Let's have a look at what's on the clock. Oh goodness me, is that 11:03? So 11 minutes will be 13:45. He's got just over a K a lap, so they really do need a rumble if he wants to get inside 13:45. I believe it's back to 13:50 would be. I think it cuts right down to £500 prize money. So I tell you, I think I'll be a bit disappointed to miss out on that £1,000 if I know Mark. So Mark, Omar Ahmed, they've gapped. Mellor and Kadar Omar still look to be on for sub 14, which would be pretty good running for those gentlemen. Linton Taylor as well, he's going to be very, very close to that 14-minute barrier. It should be a fresh personal best for him. It's great to see that Leeds vest out in force here. Andy Smith was actually on the start line, so it's a shame not to see him because he's a great 1,500-metre runner on his day. But when is Scott going to make a move, or will he just wait and bide his time? They're feeling each other out at this point in the race. They're understanding the fatigue. I think Mark has just kind of surged every now and again around this course just to see if Omar responds, and he does every single time. He's right on his heels is Omar, but just now we got what, 600 metres or so to go, and Scott increases, and that gap goes from a metre or so to 2 or 3. And he's going to soak this up now. Steve Vernon on the infield saying you've got to get after it. He is ever so close to that 13:45 payday that I've mentioned a few times. He's going to crown this bend. He's looking smooth, is Mark, and he's probably just envisioning himself, you know, in that 10K, in that British record attempt. That's going to be slightly different because he's going to have company in that one at the Durban race. I know a few NN guys are going out there to really targeting him, but this is a good close from him. And he has had some terrific close. I mean, don't forget, his personal best is 12:57. Just last year, he's a world championship finalist. He's a world bronze medalist over 3,000 indoors. He's going to have to go some. And we're going to have to go some as well on the back of his car. Getting up a personal with Marc Scott. This is terrific. He's got a slight downhill there, if you could call it that way. He can just get the legs and the turnover going. And he's going to be into this home straight now. Still, he was barely breathing when we got up close. Omar Ahmed, and gee, goodness me, the elastic band is well and truly broken. He's going to have this settle for a second. Ahmed, he's giving it a good go here at Podium at Barrowford. Marc Scott, ladies and gentlemen, just increasing, just turning the screw every 10 or so metres. He's had a good race. He's just raced for the win. That's what he wanted. He's going to attack the British record over 10,000 metres on the roads in just, what, 3 or 4 weeks' time out in Durban. He's going to enjoy this. He's going to the arms. The knees are coming up. It's a pleasure to see this man take this race. And look at this. What's that? Oh, he's just missed it. I had 13:46 or so on the clock, so he's just missed it. I wonder if Barnes will give him that one. Omar Ahmed, 13:57. He's snuck inside 14. Linton Taylor, what a run. He's come in for third. Terrific from the Leeds City man. 14:05. Mellor, Kadar Omar, perhaps paying the price for that early, that sort of third and fourth lap, which was swift. So we'll keep the camera rolling. There's Barnesy. Give us a wave, Barnesy. He's all embarrassed. He's camera shy, but in comes Ben Alcock. Good run for him. He's going to be in, 6th place. And Morpeth man as well coming through. Good running from these boys. They obviously had an early, quite an aggressive start. The early leader, Matt Crean, coming through now. Good stuff from him. 14:30. That's a PB for him. 14:42 is his personal best. So And these athletes doing a great job dodging this bend. It's just a finish just on this bend here. You really get aggressive. I guess your natural instinct is to drift off to the left as opposed to keep running around the bend. So 15 minutes, here we are. Get a few inside there. We've got terrific conditions here, so perhaps a little bit disappointing not to see quite a few big players who were due to run. I mean, Joe Wigfield was down to run, Jamie Crow down to run, and Andy Smith as well, Sam Mokes. You know, these are big domestic names that didn't turn up here today. There's Naf Moulton, the Oxford man. That's a strong run from him, what, 15:10 or so. That's a better performance from him. So as they stream in now, it's going to be very, very busy. And me and my cameraman, goodness me, we're going to be swamped with runners in a minute or two, Danny. I say a minute or two, in a second or two. They're just inching across. So if you've joined the party late, Marc Scott, the man of the hour, took quite a convincing victory in the end, quite a comfortable victory. He'll be happy with that, 13:46 for 5K. There he is. Good run from him, inched away. It was a pack of 5 for quite a while, and then just kind of turned the screw just on the second half of that last lap. Pulled away from Kedar Omar and Omar Ahmed and Johnny Mellor and Linton Taylor, who were in that pack. Made it look pretty easy. And you know, he's still in a big block of training, a big week, as he targets that British 10K record in 3 or so weeks' time out in Durban.